goes live. Checking it out. Here. We're live. We're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live stream, where we do it live. Hollywoke Hot Take Live, that is. So, as always, I like to start the stream with a little bit of pregame. I usually start a little early, but I had a phone call, and I am very tired, and I'll tell you the story of why I'm tired. First, what did I do this weekend? August? No, we're in August. So I did. I went up to the Parlor in Keyport, New Jersey, and had a very nice time checking out the store and signing some books for them. And that was yesterday afternoon. And today I did Nerd Fest from 10 to 4, and that was very nice. As always, thank you, Mary and Dan, for your hard work on that front. That was in Swedesboro. And tomorrow I will be at the Mystic Islands. What is it? I forget the name of this place. Oh man, I'm so tired. Mystic Meadows, Rehab and Nursing Center in Egg Harbor. So that's tomorrow at 2. But the reason I am so tired, I will tell you a bit of a personal story and leave out some of the details. But so I've been seeing my girl, and we decided to have a sleepover at her place. And it was very nice. It was PG sleepover, by the way. And we had dinner. She made me dinner after the Keyport thing. She wanted to make me like a romantic dinner, and we had a good time. We watched, what did we watch? We watched a movie, I think. Did we watch a movie? I can't even remember what we watched. We watched something. And then one part of the deal was, we played cards. I like to play cards. So part of the deal was, for me to stay over, I needed to bring little Joan, because I don't want to leave Joan home by herself, because she might, pee all over the place. So I brought her over. Of course, Joan pooped all over the place, but that's not too bad for a little dog as long as you don't step in it. But she has a dog too. Now she has a medium dog, very nice dog, very energetic. And so finally we were talking and playing cards. It's late in the evening, and then it was like, it's 2:00. I got to get up early tomorrow. So we crashed out, and so the two of us and the dogs got in the bed. Now, my girl has a bed that's okay for 2 people, but not for 2 people and 2 dogs. It was not enough room, especially for poor Stella. Now, she's a medium-sized dog. She normally sleeps next to my girl, but I was in that spot. And so she had to sleep at the foot of the bed, and she wasn't too happy. Joan was trying to sleep in the middle of us, and now she has a little bed. Because she's so little, she sleeps in the bed, so nobody rolls over her. But even that, it was so cramped, and my girl's mattress so soft, I was sinking in like quicksand. And, when you're sleeping over at somebody's place and you haven't done that a lot, there are an adjustment. And apparently my girl likes to keep her bedroom like a wind tunnel in the Arctic in the middle of August. So it was freezing and the fan was blowing. And despite all that, I got to sleep. But I'm a tosser and a turner. I like to move a lot when I'm sleeping. And because there were so many people, so many living creatures in the bed, us and the dogs, I couldn't really move. So I woke up, and then I tried to adjust and flip over, but it was like crazy. And then I ended up getting up to go to the bathroom, and then I was awake, and everybody was waking up, and we were tired. And finally, my girl's just like, oh, no, we have to make adjustments for the next sleepover. Why don't you just go home, sleep in your bed, because I know you have to do a thing tomorrow. So I did, but I didn't get home till like 4:30 in the morning. And then I had to get up at I was going to get up at 7 to go home and then get changed and go to the show. But since I went home at 4:30, I could at least sleep till 8, which I did, and then got up, loaded the car, ate some breakfast, and went to the show. So I was barely awake for that, and I'm barely awake for this, just to let you know. I'm just hanging on by the skin of my teeth. I may have to postpone the Piney podcast until tomorrow, because I don't know if I'm going to make it. I really don't. It's just, I'm fading right now. I mean, I'm drinking as much iced tea as I can. That's helping a little. Ugh. But man, I am fried. And I was fried all day at the show. I did okay at the show though. So I'm happy to say that. I needed a little money. But tomorrow I'm doing an event, and I have to sleep. I have to get some sleep so I could do the event tomorrow at 2. And so that should be good. And then nothing until Friday. And nothing on the weekend as of yet, unfortunately. It is a little light for me, the whole August month. Might have to, I don't know, might have to do some cutbacks or something. Anyhow, welcome to the live stream where we do it live. And this, of course, is the Pineys book 15, which dropped on July 25th. Very happy about that. Had that at the show. I do have copies of number 15. Almost said 25. And yeah, it was a good show. I didn't sell any of 15, but I sold some of the other later books. And nothing really else to report. The cosplayers were there doing their thing, and everybody else. JEC is here. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, the other thing I wanted to report was that for some reason the haters are out in force on the YouTube channels. Not sure why. Got a bunch of unpleasant comments, let's say. But you know, as usual, I don't care. I don't know why anybody would waste a second of their life commenting on a video that they didn't like. You know, unless it was like if Will Smith makes a video and it sucks, I might yell at him for that, because there should be no excuse for that, because he's probably spending an insane amount of money to shoot the damn thing. He's got a staff. He's got eyes, and his agent certainly does. If he shoots a YouTube video and it sucks, somebody should look at it and go, "Hey, Will, I think we ought to reshoot this thing." JC, comments about what? The usual stuff about, they don't like my comments about movies. They don't like me. You know, stuff like that. I don't really care. But just a lot of them all at once. So maybe I'm getting more YouTube popular. Maybe I'm finally reaching the status of gaining actual haters. Most of my haters run out of gas after one or two comments. Yeah, they just want attention. They just want attention. That's all they really want. You know, what do they expect? Hey, you know what? I do suck. You got a point there. I didn't really thought about it, but then when you said it, I said, you know what? I kind of suck. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. Shutting down the channel. Like, what do they expect to have happen? Don't understand these people. At least be constructive in your comments. Say, hey, you know, you could lose some weight. Like, if they said that, I'd be like, I might be getting a little fat. But they won't say that. No, they're not that smart. They're not just that smart haters, because they just want attention. 90%, especially on social media. Haters on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, you seeing what's happening in the UK? Oh my God. The fat effers over in the UK threatening to jail us over comments about the UK. F the UK. Not the people I like who live there. I like the Lotus Eaters and their crew. But your government could go F itself. Don't give a crap about them. threaten me. I live in the United States, bucko. Yeah. I live in the United States, and I live in South Jersey. You come and get me. Come and get me, you Brits. You tried that once before. How'd that go in South Jersey? Not too good. Not too good. JEC. How are they expecting them to get their hands on us? I think it was an empty threat. I don't think it was. I think it was designed to cow people who are so deeply ignorant of civics and law and jurisdiction, you know. But knowing the potential President Harris, I think she'd be happy to extradite some people she didn't like over to the UK for prosecution. I don't think she'd have any problem with that at all. Especially people who didn't agree with her politics. She'd send us right over, I'm sure. But, shit, the UK. I feel really bad for the Lotus Eaters, though. I really do. And any of you guys who live in the UK, it's a S show. I don't know what to tell you, really. Leave? At this point, maybe it's the move. Leave for a time. Try to run a government in exile until Trump gets back in, and then then we I don't know, invade England. I mean, that would be a turnaround. We invade England and jail your commie overlords. I don't know if Trump could make that work, but possibly we could cripple Starmer's ability to do any kind of money-making operation. Trump could do that, and then force him to ease up, or force him into such a bad situation economically that he'd be driven out of office. Maybe, I don't know. JC, impotent commie PM over there is going mad with power immediately. Yeah, James Lindsay was saying. He said that is a common trait amongst socialists. Once they get the power, they want to consolidate it immediately. And he is consolidating power immediately. LeMay is here. Hi. Hi, LeMay. So it looks like, it looks really nasty over there. And it's such a shame, too, because you had a great protest march right in the beginning, and then boom, right under the thumb. The worst part is, I mean, it's one thing to oppress your own people with thuggery. That's bad enough, but to allow foreigners to run, they're allowing foreigners to run amok in the UK. They're allowing them to march through the streets with weapons. The police look the other way and let them run amok. Every one of those policemen should be tried in some sort of court in years to come. I hope they are. JEC, he'll probably be forced to resign in a few months. Optics are so terrible. I don't know. He's the Labor Party runs the show. If he's forced to resign, they'll just put another commie in charge. I think the real issue is money. It always goes back to money for me, and I think with the UK, you might actually see the Biden administration or the Harris administration, whatever the F it is now, support them. Prop them up. Oh, you're having problems? Oh, let us give you some intel. Let's give you some money. I wouldn't be surprised. That's why we really need, that's another of the myriad of reasons we need Trump back in office. You get Trump back in there, he ain't gonna help them. He's gonna be like, yeah, you should kick this idiot out of office. I'm not sure how much he could do on that front, but again, I think he could I think he could force the UK to do stuff because economically they'd have no choice, and they need the money. I don't think the Biden administration is going to lift a finger. They want that here. I think the Harris administration. I think what you're seeing is a preview of the Harris administration if she gets in. If Harris is president, I think this is what you're going to get. You're going to get police arresting Americans over speech, especially in the blue states. LeMay. According to V, a Romanian, I know V, who grew up in communism, this is a commie tactic, keeping the working class on edge by thugs. Yes. Yes, and it's an application, as Lindsay has said many a time, of Herbert Marcuse's essay, where everything is tolerated from the left, but nothing is tolerated from the right. So the left can run amok and do whatever it wants, but the moment the right steps out of line, even a little bit, you lower the hammer all the way down. And that, to some extent, that's been done here with the J6ers. Although some of the lawfare pushback has worked, the J6ers just won a big case, but a lot of them are still in prison, and I think they're going to stay in prison until Trump's back in. Another reason to elect him, because he will now pardon them all. He has no reason not to. He can't be reelected after he's in again, so why not just pardon everybody? He's already promised to do it, so I think he would. I think he'd do it on day one. I think that would be one of his many things. Just pardon everybody in J6 and damn the consequences at that point, because at some point in this country, the media will be so partisan. It is now. I mean, it's really that way now. It's so partisan. I mean, no one will listen to it. Not even the people who, it agrees with. Because they'll know, well, yes, the news is agreeing with me, but the news just says that. So it's not, they won't consider it a real source of information. They just know it will agree with them. And they'll say, oh, yeah, the news is going to agree with me. Ha, ha, ha. So, although, again, some of my older relatives still watch the news, and they still believe, well, that's probably most of reality. It's very sad. Makes me mad. It makes me mad that the media is lying to my relatives. I wish there was a way to sue them over it, but I don't know what to do on that score, other than, make my own little YouTube show. But anyhow, let's talk about the important things. Movies. Specifically, how much money the movies made. So this was another wild week in Hollywood. Deadpool and Wolverine made $54 million over. And it's not, I don't think it's quite over $1 billion. Let's see. It's at, it is over $1 billion. Okay, it made it. So the domestic was just shy of $500 million, but the international was over. So boom, there you have it. Deadpool and Wolverine, $1 billion. $1 billion movie. This is by far the highest rated R-rated movie now. LeMay, I know this is off topic, but as a writer, what makes a thrilling fight scene? Oh, okay. I have a lot of thoughts on this. So prepare for a divergent. I love writing action. And like improv and comedy, fight scenes have to be very organic in order to work. They have to involve the scenery, the environment, props, and whatever's there. There has to be a reason for it. But I think really the environment is the most important part of a good fight scene, because that's going to dictate how the characters fight and what they're fighting with a lot of times. Of course, you want to set your scene in a place that makes sense with the genre you're writing in. So if you're writing a straight up action movie, it's not meant to be funny, you need to pick a place that would be, you know, maybe cramped and intense as opposed to cramped and funny. Like cramped and intense is like the storm drains, right? You know, a fight scene in the storm drains. They're isolated, they're filthy, probably got a lot of rats in them, rushing water, dark lighting. But they're not fun. It's not fun down in the storm drain. Whereas in a bar, that tends to be more fun, right? There are other people in the bar, music, bottles, beer, some drunkenness may be involved, girls, you know, all kinds of stuff in a bar setting. So I think that's really important to a fight scene. A thrilling fight scene in that makes it more exciting really is about the stakes. The environment can be an impact, like the fight scene in The Rocketeer on top of the blimp. That's an exciting scene. It's an environment where, you know, the characters could fall off and the blimp could explode. There's a lot of moving parts. You don't know what's going to happen next. But the stakes, I think, are very important. So what's at stake? In Rocketeer, it's the girl. There might be some money involved. There might be things like whatever the MacGuffin is, getting to the next level or thing, you know, and falling down. The Michael Douglas movie, it was about getting to the next sort of scene, which represented his sort of, oh, you know, it was kind of like his heart of darkness through LA. You know, going down, instead of downriver, going through the city and meeting various thugs, and his weapon keeps increasing until he's wearing like black pajamas and he's got a bazooka, I think, at the end. You know, but a lot of times you want innocence mixed in the fight if you want it to be thrilling. If the hero is trying to save people, just like in superhero movies like the Avengers and Superman. That's what was so soul crushing about the Zack Snyder Superman, when a bunch of people died. Superman didn't save them. It was so like, what? Why didn't Superman save those people? Weren't there a bunch of people in there? Jesus. Like, Superman's supposed to save people at great risk to his own life, right? Like, it wouldn't have taken much for Zack Snyder to do a scene in which Superman goes flying and blocks the laser beams with his own body to deflect them away from people while they escape, and then, you know, then the laser beam hits him and knocks him into the floor or whatever. You know, because the intense part will be, oh my God, well, I hope he'll save those people, kind of thing. And normally in a Superman that would be a given, but not in the Zack Snyder ones, apparently. You know, usually a dog in danger. That was one. Oh, I know what movie I saw last night. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. I'm so fried. I saw an amazing movie. You want to talk about action? You want to talk about thrilling? Watch a movie called Sisu. It's a Finnish movie. It takes place during the big war. You know the war I'm talking about. And Sisu is a term that doesn't translate, and it's Finnish, and it basically means like what happens to you when you're in a really tough situation and you find some inner strength to overcome. So it's kind of like what happens to Bill Bixby when he turns into the Hulk in the old Hulk TV show. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. So they advertised this movie a couple of years back, and I really wanted to see it, and then I forgot about it. But the premise is there's a Finnish, of course he's like an ex-commando or something, but he's become a prospector. And he's out basically in the middle of the fjord, in Finland at the end of the war. JC, I watched an old TV movie when John Goodman played Huey Long. I remember that. It was pretty good. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I didn't see it, but I remember the advertisement. Anyhow, the main character is a prospector. He finds some gold, and then it's about him trying to get the gold back home. And then he runs into some bad guys from Germany, and you can pretty much write the rest. It is a crazy action epic. Highly recommend. JC, free on YouTube. Oh, I might have to check that out. Oh, what the hell else was not free on YouTube? Oh, yeah. I got a voice, not a voice thing. God, I'm so fried. I got a text or a message, one of those Facebook message things. The messenger on Facebook, that one. Got so many damn gadgets. Anyhow, it was I mentioned my friend Dahmer in one of my screeds about screenwriting. Oh, how to write about a serial killer. And I was mentioning how you should sort of kick up your game when you're doing a serial killer movie because, I don't know, to me they're very played. But I mentioned my friend Dahmer because it was a different kind of serial killer movie because it's about a guy who knew Jeffrey Dahmer when he was in high school. And his movie is apparently free on YouTube as well. So got a couple things to watch now. We got the Huey Long movie and My Friend Dahmer. JEC, I sent you the Dahmer link on Instagram. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. Although not this week. Man, I'm so busy this week. I got to finish book 16 at a Pineys or I'm screwed. Anyhow, yeah, so for thrilling action, it also depends upon the protagonist. In Sisu, the protagonist is like legendary. And it just keeps kicking up during the course of the movie. It gets a little unrealistic in portions, but I was willing to forgive it because it was so awesome. He does some crazy ass things. It's pretty wild. That's on Amazon Prime, by the way. It was only $3.99. Totally worth the rental. Totally 100% worth the rental. I got to review that. So yeah. Just keep up in the ante. Just like in anything else, especially with action, you want to keep up in the ante. So you start with some small amount of action, and then, into the second act, you start ramping it up. Each action scene should be bigger than the next. And then for the third act, it should just be bonkers. It should just be bonkers and chaos. And don't just have two sides. See, that's really sort of played. You got the good guys and the bad guys. Nah, you kind of want a third party at least. Maybe even a fourth if you can manage it, if you can juggle enough characters. So when the fight breaks out at the end, you almost don't know who to root for. It's so crazy. So, yeah, and fight scenes, just keep ramping the action up. One of the things I like to think about when I write scenes like that is what is the worst possible situation for these characters, right? So if you got a big action scene with some criminals and they're fighting each other, and maybe they're in a fist fight on a roof, and then they crash through a skylight, and end up somewhere, and you think to yourself, what's the worst place, these guys could end up? And then they crash through a skylight, and they're in the middle of like a cop convention or something like that, where you're like, oh. And then the two criminals have to team up and fight their way out of the cop convention or something. I mean, something wild like that. I mean, if you don't have the budget, obviously you can't do that kind of stuff, but you can certainly write it all day long. So, with the kind of budget, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine had great fight scenes. Enjoyed them immensely. Very much the fan service. I like it a fan service. The bus scene. It's all over YouTube if you want to see it. It ups the ante. I don't want to give it away, but it gives you sort of the ultimate Deadpool fight in a lot of ways. And it also gives you villains that are really tough to beat. Now, there's a lot of ham-fisted multiverse stuff going on in Deadpool, but I think they did it relatively well. I think if they end the multiverse stuff here, at least for a long while, they'll be good. But I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't count on Hollywood giving up that ring from Mordor. It's too easy. It's like time travel. It's always been kind of a big crutch for Hollywood. I'll never forget, I went to go see the Lost in Space movie with Gary Oldman. And one of the things that happens in that movie is there's just time travel in it. I'm like, you're putting time travel in the movie about Lost in Space. You just reintroduced all these characters with a whole new cast, and now you're going to have time travel in it where they go back in their past? Don't make any sense. Didn't make any damn sense. It was a terrible movie, by the way. Gary Oldman was wasted in that movie. Oh, wasted. I mean, I don't mean he was drunk. I just mean, he's very talented. As Dr. Smith, of all people. Yeah, no. Seemed beneath him. Much better in The Fifth Element. Yeah, he's great in that. But anyhow, speaking of action, Deadpool and Wolverine, $1 billion. $1,029,000,000. Some movies don't even make $29 million, so that's crazy, insane. It's just staggering amount of money. So Yellow Flash is predicting this movie cracks 1.5 billion. It might. Really has some legs. This is the third week. It's only dropped down by 44% this time. So it's holding fast. That's anything under 50 is an acceptable drop. And it's made its money and then some. LeMay, MCU got another hit. I know. Question is, what happens from here? Are they going to capitalize on this? Are they going to get rid of all the woke tards that run their company? Or are they just going to go right back into it? Right back into diversity and inclusion. DEI hire. Now, the amazing part is Blake Lively, the wife of Ryan Reynolds, was Lady Pool in Deadpool and Wolverine. Makes a cameo in that. So she's in that movie, $1 billion movie. And she is the star of It Ends With Us, which debuted very well at $50 million. Now, this is based on a Colleen Hoover book, and I know all about that because I am in the book arenas, so to speak, and there is book Twitter. And on book Twitter, it's mostly women recommending the same books over and over again. Mostly young adult fantasy and smut and romance books like It Ends With Us. So one of the biggest complaints you'll see on BookTwit or Book Twitter or whatever you call it is other women complaining, please don't recommend Colleen Hoover to me. I'm sick of Colleen Hoover. So that means pretty much everybody female who's reading books is probably read or at least heard of Colleen Hoover and this book. I think this is one of the more popular ones. And and Blake Lively, not a bad actress at all. Very pretty. Right age for this, I think. So it starts out decent at 80 mil, but this shouldn't be a super expensive movie, and it's not. It's only a $50 million movie, so this is already money. LeMay, Colleen, oh no, LOL. Yeah, I wouldn't go see this. I mean, if my girl wanted to go see it, there'd be a discussion, I suppose, some negotiation. I don't want to see it. She sees a lot of movies though, so I'm sure it'll come up on streaming one day, and she'll probably already see it without me. Mm. Every time I'm in the live stream, I told you I'm in the live stream doing live stream. Okay. Now let's see if I got a message back if it's an emergency. So yeah, this is a huge book amongst women. So it's probably not anywhere as big as Barbie, but you know, remember those romance books with Fabio on the cover? It's at least as big as that, I would say. So, and she's written a bunch of books, so this isn't going to be the end of these. Let's see. What the heck? Oh, now I got a voicemail. What the? Oh, I'm all blowing up here. What the heck? What the heck's going on? Hold on. I gotta see what's going on. Hold on. What did he say? Oh, he accidentally leaves me a voicemail. Nice going. Everybody's calling me on a live stream. Every single week. Every single week this happens now. Cat is out of the bag. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I'm too tired. Anyhow, there are a lot of Colleen Hoover books and a lot of women who love reading them. So I think they're going to make at least 2 more movies with Blake Lively. I think there's the same character in it. Don't quote me on that. But they're going to try to franchise this thing as long as they can. This is definitely money because we're at 80 million. The thing cost 50 million to make. Probably not far from what with the advertising. Hard to get a read on the advertising. They say whatever they spent on the budget, they spent on the advertising. I don't think it's that much. That's probably an exaggeration in terms of the books in Hollywood, but assuming that's true, next week this will be in the black either way. So this will probably do, I don't know, maybe 200 million, maybe, or close to it. That'll be pretty good for a movie like this. And plus, Blake Lively is married to Ryan Reynolds, so it's worth it for the studio just to keep green-lighting sequels with her in it, and the off chance they can lure Ryan Reynolds to be in it. And he can be in these movies because he's handsome man. He's done the handsome man movies before. I don't know if he would do it. He might do it as a favor to his wife, and that's a thing in Hollywood. So even if it's just a cameo, you know, he has some draw there either way. Not for guys. Guys aren't going to go see this thing again unless you're dragged there by your girl. But you know, for the ladies, this will be huge. This will be a big movie. It'll do well. It'll do well on streaming. So good for them. I mean, they're calling this the next Barbie Oppenheimer. It's not that big. I mean, it's just not. Oppenheimer almost made $1 billion. It ends with us not even going to be close to $1 billion, but might do 200 million, 250. Next up is Twisters, dropping from 2 to 3 in its 4th week. Did 310 million. Surprisingly low international box office, though. You think internationally this movie would have done okay. It cost 200 million to make, so your guess is as good as mine as whether we're actually in the money. And did this open in China? No. Oh, it did. Oh, it didn't do very well in China, according to this. 2.7 million? That sounds kind of low for China. People in the UK seem to like it at 13 million. In Mexico, 10 million. But, yeah, that seems like a low international box office, but I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with tornadoes around the world. Are they not that plentiful outside the United States? Is it the sort of thing where people hear a tornado in a third world country and they just sort of laugh and go, yeah, we call that wind? Um, I don't know. Because maybe they got so much extreme weather, seeing a movie about weather isn't particularly high on the list of movie priorities. I wouldn't blame them. I mean, I think the movie's kind of meh as a concept to begin with anyway. Number 4, and this is one to talk about, is Borderlands. Borderlands, based on the video game, 8.8 million. Kind of higher than I expected it to do, but this doesn't bode well for the overall box office because, yeah, they're not telling us what the movie cost, but I gotta think there's a lot of effects in this movie. And I mean, celebrity doesn't mean much anymore, but they did get Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, and Cate Blanchett. Those are 3 fairly significant names, if names mean anything. So they spent some money on this movie. I would spitball it at least. It has to be at least 100 million minimum. That would be the floor, absolute floor. I'd be shocked if it wasn't at least 150 million. And we're at 8 million, 8.8. That's not much. So, and it's not getting good reviews. It's getting absolutely, as Sticks and Hammer would say, crab hammered by the critics. No one seems to like this movie except Grace Randolph, who's a YouTube critic. And for my money, not very credible. So I would expect a big drop next week on Borderlands. If it holds at 50%, another 4 million, and then another 2 million, another 1 million, and that's it. But that's if they're lucky. So they'll be lucky to keep this thing in the theaters for 4 weeks. So you're looking at 4, 6, another 7 million. That puts it around 15 million domestically. Maybe if you add the stuff during the week, it might crack 20. That's not very good. And internationally, we don't have any numbers yet. Now maybe one of these international markets will explode, but I kind of doubt it. And it's not going to China for whatever reason. China. So does not bode well at all. Borderlands. I think it's going right down the tubes after this week. And that sucks because I still have 2 shares of Lionsgate and I'm never going to be able to get rid of it. This isn't financial advice, by the way. Number 5, dropping from 4, Despicable Me 4 did very well. Still, I mean, look at it. This movie's in its 6th week and it did almost as much as Borderlands. So dropping from 3 to 6 is Trap. I kind of want to see this movie, but I don't know. It dropped 56%. That's not a good sign. I think if this had been released in a different era, it probably would have done much better. 45 million. It's not super strong. No word on the box office. I think this would have done better had it been released at a different era. I think this could have been a big movie back in the day. These days, no. 6.7 million. Next week, I mean, it dropped by 56. Next week, it'll probably be around 3, and then 1.5, and then basically done. So, yeah, I don't think that's money. It looks like not a huge budget, but a significant budget. I don't think this thing cracks 30 mil. I mean, or wait, no, it's already. No, it said it's already. Wait, am I looking at the right thing? God, I'm tired. No, it is going to crack 30 mil. I don't think this thing cracks. Let's say it's at 6 now. It won't crack. Say 65, 70. Probably peters out around 60. 62 maybe. Sorry, my math skills are gone to hell. Number 7, dropping from 5, is Inside Out 2. It's an absolute beast of a movie. The question is, can Deadpool and Wolverine beat it? Ooh, I don't know. They're at 1.59 billion. That's a big number. So they'd have to do another 600 million to beat it. I don't know. That seems like too much. And it's in its 9th week. It's still made almost $5 million in its 9th week. That is a popular movie. Boy, that's got legs for days. Wow. Thinking about seeing the damn thing. Everybody else is saying it. You think, man, it must be a decent flick. Dropping from 6 to 8, Harold and the Purple Crayon. Kids movie doing $3 million. So solid enough, I guess, for its 2nd week, but dropped by 48%. I don't know. 15.8. This movie's got a lot of effects in it. I don't know. It's definitely cost more than 15 million, I would say. So that's not boding well for the finances of that. Maybe this does 40? Seems like it would cost more. Cuckoo, which I actually reviewed this trailer, and the lead is trans, but it doesn't seem to be about a trans person, if you know what I mean. It just seems to be the lead is trans, and I don't even know if they call that out in the movie at all, but it's not about being trans. So a trans person in a movie where it's not all about being a trans person, so that's something at least, I guess. It didn't look horrible. It looked like some kind of weird thriller movie. I didn't quite get it, so it could be watchable. It's at $3 million. Probably didn't cost much to make. No, it doesn't say. Probably didn't cost much to make. Looks pretty low budget, but $3 million is pretty low. Might make 12, maybe 10, 12. Probably cost, I don't know. It is an indie movie. It's from Neon. It could be very cheap. Long Legs, dropping from 7 to 10 in its 5th week, $2 million. It's done okay. 87 million. I don't think it costs that anywhere near that. Although it doesn't say. I kind of still want to see this movie, but I'm told, it's not great, and Nicolas Cage isn't in it for long, and he's just weird, but he's always sort of weird in a movie. Number 11 is Dee Dee. Is this a cartoon? I forget. Yeah. It's a weird cartoon. $1.65 million. It's in its 3rd week. Gotta think it costs more than that, but looks like it's from Korea, so it probably already made its money in Korea. Number 12, dropping from 8, is A Quiet Place Day 1. I think this is in its 7th week. It did okay-ish, I guess. I don't know, depending on how much it cost. It's at $260 worldwide. Seems a little low for a movie that probably has a ton of CGI, but there's no names in it. Number 13 is Sing Sing. This movie's still out. It's 5th week. Yeah. It's a low budget thing. Hasn't cracked a mill, but look cheap to shoot. Number 14 is Bad Boys Ride or Die. Dropping from 10, making $185K. Then Fly Me to the Moon, movie that's just going away. 125K. That's a Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum movie that did not look good. Cat Video Fest, insane. I don't know who would go to a movie theater to pay to watch cat videos you could see for free on the internet. Literally, you could watch. I'm pretty sure you could watch cat videos for an entire weekend straight, and you still wouldn't even be close to scratching the surface of the amount of cat videos there are on the internet. I mean, come on. There are a lot of them. Why would you pay to see them? Widow Click-Quat, in its 4th week, still hasn't cracked a mill, another art house thing. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, of course, another movie that did well, cannot die. It's in its 14th week, still in 20 theaters. Maxine XXX, going out of theaters, didn't do particularly well. It's in its 6 weeks, kind of done. Then there's The Good One, premiering in 3 theaters. I think I saw the trailer for this. Oh, man. Yes. Okay, so it's a little unclear in the trailer, but I think what it is, it's the father of this girl, and it's either a tale of two dads, or a dad who came out as gay later and then left his wife to marry a dude, or it's 2 friends. I can't quite tell from the trailer. It's a little murky. But then they run into some people out in the woods, and I think they kill them for reasons it's not quite clear. Or they think about killing them. I'm not sure, but seems like they kill them, and then like the young girl's caught in the middle, and I think they killed them to protect her, but it's unclear, and then she has to keep her mouth shut, and I think they get away with it, but it's very much an art house movie. A War Game. It's in week 2. Oh, this is a documentary. Yep, war is bad, people, just to let you know. And Janet Planet is somehow still in 16 theaters. Carter Chain is here. Hello, Tony. Hello, Carter Chain. Hello. How are you, Carter Chain? How are you? All right. So the box office this week was $157 million. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But of course, most of it coming from Ryan Reynolds and his wife. So Ryan Reynolds and his wife nearly single-handedly saving Hollywood with their movies. Kind of amazing. I think they've got a career on their hands. And I still say the best line in Deadpool and Wolverine is the line from Nice Pool, which is very funny. He's a very funny character. Nice Pool cracked me up. So I won't say it because it's very funny, but it's very movie based. Carter Chain, did you talk about the Disney Entertainment Showcase yet? Oh, you mean D23? Not really. I did just watch the Snow White teaser, and it is pretty terrible. Not as terrible as initially advertised, but pretty terrible. It all looks like CGI or AI to me, except for Rachel Zegler, who looks too thin and malnourished to be Snow White. She's not hot enough. And then you got Gal Gadot as the Snow Queen, and she still looks amazing. And it's like, why wouldn't she be the Snow White, the fairest of them all? But I kind of understand why they wouldn't cast her, because she is a little old for that role, even though she looks great. But Rachel Zegler, no. They cast her in the lead in Woke Side Story. I think that was a mistake. But you can at least argue, well, they didn't know. They thought they had a real talent on their hand. And then the movie bombed. Oh, excuse me. So, I mean, look at this. What am I doing here? Sorry. Really. West Side Story. Oh, God. West Side Story. West Side Story, 2021. So worldwide box office was $74 million, maybe 75, and it cost $100 million to shoot. So this movie lost $25 million just on the budget, and that doesn't even count the advertising. And they advertised the F out of this thing. I mean, they advertised it everywhere. Say it like Gary Oldman. Everywhere! Carter Chain. I don't know why they're doing Toy Story again, since 4 was supposed to be the last. Yeah, I think they should have wrapped it at 4. I liked 4. I thought it was decent, but they can't help themselves. There's too much money in it. So they'll do it until there's no money. They will squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. Why are they doing Lord of the Rings? They've done all the big stories for Lord of the Rings. It's over. It's done. Oh, they're still doing it, though. They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing it until they lose money, and then they go, okay, this is over. Or they propose another Lord of the Rings movie, and they look at the projections and, oh, this is terrible. We can't shoot this thing. Same thing with, everything else they do. They look at projections, and, corporate guys sit around and pitch ideas that are somebody else's ideas, and that's it. That's it. This is why they have no celebrities. They have no talent. They just keep doing things from the past. Doing the Snow White movie is the worst possible thing Disney could do, because it was literally the movie that made the studio. Literally the movie. And, like, I would understand if Universal did their own version of Snow White. Like, that would make sense. Because Universal would look at the Snow White, thing. Maybe Disney would re-release it, which would be the smart thing to do because it's such a classic film. I don't know. Disney Snow White now in 4K with amazing stereo sound and remix sound or whatever. And then it probably does some business, and then Universal turns around and says, hey, we're going to do our own version of Snow White, a classic tale. That would make sense. I mean, I still wouldn't greenlight it, but maybe if the take was so different and creative, I could say, oh, wow, that's kind of a really different Snow White. Not the woke BS. I mean, Rachel Zegler and her woke BS story about, that was 1937. It was very dated. Ha 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 ha. Like she was going to girl boss her way out of that and everybody was going to like it. That's a disaster. I don't want that. But, some kind of take where it's, I don't know, it's all in German. I mean, something that would be classic to the fairy tale. Or not. I mean, I'm sure there's a few details from the original story that were cut out of Disney because they were too rough for the kiddies. I mean, you could do a slightly older version of it, more for grown-ups or older kids. You could do an even more kiddie version of it, where all the characters are mice. I don't know. Why keep going to the well? Because they've got nothing else. What else did they showcase at D23? Daredevil. That sounds like it's going to be a disaster. I mean, it couldn't have been a more simpler thing to do. Oh, we now have Daredevil. Oh, the Netflix show did really, really well. For the most part, I hear the third season they had screwed it up, but why don't we bring back the team from the Netflix show? No, let's not do that. What? And then eventually they came around, oh yeah, we will do that. But let's not use all of the cast. Let's recast some of them. What? Why would you do that? Okay, we'll bring them back too. It's like, how stupid do you have to be to keep screwing this up? And somebody said, I believe it was Doomcock, was talking about how it's so bad to him, Snow White is so awful, the teaser trailer, that he's convinced that behind the scenes there's a battle between the various executives sabotaging each other, or that it feels that way. To which I say, that could very well be the case. These people are not beneath that. Of course they would sabotage each other's projects. They've done that. There's a long history of that. I heard that that's what happened to the X-Men. You know, they did the first X-Men movie with Bryan Singer. It was a huge hit. Then they were working on the second movie. By that time, the studio head who had greenlit the first X-Men movie was gone, and there was a new studio head in. And the rule of thumb is, if you're the new guy, if you're the new studio exec, you don't want your predecessor's previous movies to hit. So he did not want this to be a hit, and they tried to lure Bryan Singer away with various projects. He stuck to the X-Men. They cut the budget, my understanding, but then X-Men 2 was a hit. It did well. It did well. Then, by the third time they were going to do the third movie, they finally convinced Bryan Singer to go do the Superman film he always wanted to do. I think it was the Superman film, right? That dragged him away. I think it was that one, right? Let me see. God, that was 2000, the X-Men movie. Yeah, here it is. X-Men Days of Future Past. What is this? Oh, that's producer. We want director. Where's his directing credits? There we go. He has directing credits. Where's his directing credits? I mean, all credits. God. Days of Future Past. X-Men Apocalypse. What was it? Gosh. Yeah, here it is. Superman Returns. I knew it was somewhere. God, I couldn't find it. I'm so tired. So Superman Returns is what they used to lure Bryan Singer away. And then X3 came out, and that was directed by a dude whose only previous experience, I think, were music videos. Hadn't really done a full-length movie before, and especially not of this size. And it just didn't come together. And it was essentially, again, my understanding, that the studio head wanted to sabotage the franchise, because as long as the X-Men were successful, his predecessor would kind of get the credit. So I think they're not above sabotaging their own projects at all at that level. Not at all. Oh, here he came back for X-Men Days of Future Past. That was a good one, too. Yeah, that was a really good one. And then, of course, there was some noise about Bryan Singer and his various predilections, I'll say. I don't know which is true. I don't think he ever got convicted of anything or successfully sued. But there were rumors. And I think it did hurt his career eventually. All right. Going over to Variety. Does anybody care about the Olympics? The Olympics closing ceremony looks a mess. I don't know. Who the hell wants to see the closing of the ceremony? Like, don't you watch the Olympics to see the damn sport in your country to win? Who the hell cares about the ceremony? That's like saying, oh, I watched the Super Bowl to watch the halftime show. Really? Really? You can't wait for that halftime show. All important piece of entertainment. Paris Olympics, I don't know, it was kind of an S show. A lot of woke stuff happened. Didn't like that. I know people who watched it. I have zero interest in it. I mean, I feel bad for some of the athletes. I mean, Good for them wanting to represent their country, but it's kind of not the same. It's kind of not what it used to be. And, sadly, Paris wasn't exactly the greatest place in the world to put this on currently. I think when they agreed to do it in Paris, they didn't realize how bad off Paris was. But then again, they did it during the big war back in the 40s, so, or before that went off. I forget when that was. Was that the 38 Olympics, I think? I don't know. This just seems like it's more about these wacky ceremonies than it is about the sports. That opening ceremony was brutal. Oh, brutal. You can't tell me that wasn't about the Last Supper. I'm not religious, but geez, it's so obviously the Last Supper to me. Why do you got to go after the Christians? Why? Why? Why bother? Why bother going out of your way to offend a group of people? It's because you're determined to show everybody how cool you are. Everybody now who runs a country in Europe or a blue state in America is like that annoying kid in college who wants to prove to everybody how atheism works and everything else sucks, and how socialism will just work if you just put them in charge. Everybody's like that now. They all deserve to be thrown out of power and never to return. Never to return. All right, here it is. Deadpool and Wolverine crosses 1 billion. Celine Dion disavows Donald Trump's use of "My Heart Will Go On" at campaign rally. Really? That song? Look, it is her song, so as an artist, I kind of understand, like, well, it's her right to say, hey, you can't use my song to do this stuff, but, that is kind of an appropriate song when you think about it. I mean, the guy was almost assassinated, but she's entitled because she wrote the song or whatever. It's her song, I guess. But whatever. Carter, I'll tell you how bad France is. How bad is it? I'll be in Paris tomorrow. Oh no. Stay safe, Carter. JC, I mean, even if it was based on a different painting, The Last Supper was a very famous painting even back in the day. Artists would do versions of The Last Supper as an exercise. Yeah, and it's just a slam against Christians. I know these people. They love going after Christians. They think it's edgy and cool, but it's actually the safest thing you can do, because Christians, I mean, maybe back in the 70s, 80s, they had a little juice to cancel you, but there was always a cachet in that in the 70s and 80s. Oh, I got canceled by the church. Oh, the church, well, we'll give you some money. That's the way it is. But, these people are like, oh, no, we're doing the Feast of Dionysus. Nobody knows what that is. You barely know what it is. You are slamming Christians because you think it's cool. That's all it is. A lot of these people, I think, are bitter ex-Christians for whatever reason. Now, sometimes they have justification. Maybe something bad happened to them in a church or whatever. But a lot of times I think it's just a bunch of arty, snobby people going after religion because they think that's the cool thing to do. All their snobby, arty friends are, oh, you slammed religion. Yeah, I don't believe in God either. Oh, yeah, aren't we cool? Yeah, we're cool. Oh, we're so cool. We don't go to church. Who cares? Who cares what you don't do? But it just wasn't cool. And the drag queens, give me a break with these drag queens. They're not LGBTQ. They're not in the alphabet. They've become some sort of weird de facto mascot that you keep dragging out to show, oh, if you don't like drag queens, what is wrong with you? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? The big deal is you keep throwing drag queens in our face like they're supposed to mean something. You're just doing it to agitate people. And again, it's about being cool. They think that's cool. Oh, look at a scare the straights. They don't like the drag people. Okay. Now you've done it untold amount of times. You've destroyed movie franchises and TV stations and TV shows and TV networks, and production companies and video game companies. Okay, keep doing it, I guess. Keep losing money. But Disney's certainly not going to be able to turn that boat around anytime soon. Might as well just rename the park the Drag Queen World at this point. Sure, you want to drag queen up the Olympics. I mean, the Olympics are stupid anyway. Look, they got breakdancing in it now. How do they have breakdancing in the Olympics? That's not a sport. It's not a sport at all. Yes, it requires some amount of physicality, whatever. It's not a sport. It's not a sport. And that Australian woman dancing, look up that. Holy cow. That was a pathetic display. A pathetic display of, I could break dance better than that. But who the hell wants breakdancing in the Olympics? What are we doing? We're bending over backwards to include what? Breakdancing? Breakdancing hasn't been relevant since the 80s. And even when I was a kid and it was hot, quote unquote, I thought it looked stupid. Like, why are they rolling around on a piece of cardboard? Oh, it's this breakdancing. Oh, okay. Dumb. It's not an Olympic sport. It's not a sport. There are sports that aren't in the Olympics. Football is not in the Olympics. Probably because we just dominate the sport from top to bottom, but it's a sport. Why shouldn't that be in the Olympics? I say put football in. Take breakdancing out. Take it right out. And watch us crush everybody, except the Russians. The Russians, they'll have a bunch of roided up freaks that we'd have to fight through their defensive line. And they would be a bit of a issue. But, I don't know. Who else? Maybe the New Zealanders would put together a halfway decent team using some of their rugby guys. But, if you want to get if the NFL really wanted a world league like they're trying to do, that would be the way to do it. Get a friggin' football sport in the Olympics. Carter Chain, football is going to be in the next Olympics. There you go. And we will win. I couldn't believe that the Serbia game against the NBA guys was even close. Apparently we just pulled it out at the last minute and beat the Serbians. Carter Chain, Canada won't be bad at football since they have their own league. That's true. That's true. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll do decently. Yeah, it would be fun to have a football league on the Olympic stage. Because then you could have, our college guys. We got so many college guys, too. I mean, we just have so much talent in that area. Like, way too much. Then imagine these football guys. I want a career in football. And, like, you get drafted and you have to go play for, I don't know, somebody over in Europe. That'll be kind of awful. Oh, man, I got to move to Italy, play for the Italians. But I live in America. I went to play for the Eagles. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with Italy or anything. I'm just saying it would be weird, right? That's why I say the football team should be local guys only. That, to me, made it interesting. I kind of don't have any interest in sports ball. When I was a kid, though, in the 70s, that was kind of more the deal. So one of the things that fascinated me about watching the Eagles was most of the guys were local. So it was like, oh, these guys are local guys. That kind of felt right, but they don't do it that way anymore. What else? Listen to this headline. Is it time we retired the idea of the chick flick? Does Hollywood do anything else these days? There's so many chick flicks coming out, I can't even keep up with them all. I mean, what do you call Snow White? The way they're doing it now. Oh, by the way, the music in Snow White is drudgery. Half the movies Hollywood puts out are aimed at women, and the other half used to be aimed at men, and now they're trying to aim those at women too. Look at Star Wars. Look at Indiana Jones. Look at any of these. Look at the Marvel Universe up until Deadpool. I mean, it was ridiculous. Oh, I gotta retire the idea of a chick flick. They're all chick flicks at this point. Where the guy flicks? Sisu was a guy flick, let me tell you that. Whew. Crazy. Snoop Dogg joined by Dr. Dre for Beachside, the next episode performance at the Olympics closing ceremony. Which I just don't get at all. I don't get why they would invite Snoop Dogg, but then again, I don't get why they would have drag queens either. Are they trying to get rap guys to watch the Olympics? What? We don't get enough rap guys from Compton watching the Olympics. How can we get them in? What if we got Snoop Dogg? Yeah. I hear he's awesome. I hear he's bad. Is that what the kids are saying? Bad? Which means good? How old are these people? 1,000? Snoop Dogg. I mean, okay. Now he's at the Olympics. I guess. I'm sick of seeing Snoop Dogg. I mean, back in the day, it was kind of cool, I guess, because you thought he was a criminal. But these days, he's been on everything. It's worth millions and millions of dollars. When's the last time he did a song? He's done a movie. He did like a Bad News Bears type movie recently. I don't think that did very well. Here's Billie Eilish performs Birds of a Feather at the Olympics closing ceremony to welcome the games to LA. I don't know which is going to be a worse city, Paris or LA? Kind of a close call there. I mean, in Paris, the locals will protest at the drop of a hat and burn down half the city. In LA, not so much the burning, but there is more crime and more guns. So, been a ton of home invasions recently. Tom Hanks and his wife, they got burglarized. I think was the last one I read about. Oh yeah, and Tom Cruise jumped off the Stade de France and skydived to Hollywood sign at the Olympics closing ceremony, handing over the games to LA. So that would be the one part I thought was kind of cool, only because it's Tom Cruise and he's insane. And he very much represents LA because he's like the last movie star. But yeah, I don't know, man. Another LA. God, what the Olympics were at LA before. I remember that. Okay. Good luck, athletes from around the world. Stay out of the neighborhoods. They'll tell you which ones. What else? What else? Paris Olympics racked up over 1.3 million posts on TikToks and 1,828% increase on Tokyo Games. Okay. Now we're keeping track of TikTok because I guess Variety can't get enough of the Kami app that's run by the Chinese. I would not put it in your phone if I were you. Over at Fandom Pulse, Glasgow Worldcon bans its own leaders as the science fiction establishment continues to decline. Worldcon in Glasgow has been a complete cluster, with some old bannings happening with the Hugo Awards admin Dave McCarthy and Vice Chair Ben Yallow. I haven't really followed this too closely because I don't care. I mean, I love the nerds. I am a nerd, but some of their stuff I tried to get in on, and then I immediately said, oh, this is BS. And things like Worldcon, things like Filk and award ceremonies, it's all the same stuff. It's like you got to know the right people. You got to be the right kind of person. And I'm not just talking about woke stuff. I'm just talking about you have to have a good end. Your book or project or whatever it is has to be widely accepted by the fan base as being good. Can't have any controversies in it whatsoever. It has the slightest bit of controversy that isn't an approved controversy. You can forget it. You can absolutely forget it. And that's, to me, that's not the way you should run an awards ceremony, but kind of depends on why you want to give the award. I don't think most of these big cons want to give awards for anything other than, established writers and artists that make them look good in terms of virtue signaling, or make them look good in terms of attendance at their various cons or whatever. So typically in the world of comics, every year they would give out a bunch of awards to the same guys who would, they would be the most popular guys working in the industry. They wouldn't go far afield looking for new and interesting comics to give awards to. If you happen to be right in front of them, they might stumble upon you. And now it's all woke, I think. Now I think a lot of these guys are just going to go for the wokest possible candidate. So let these guys spiral down into nothingness. Who cares? Who cares? When they wonder why, no one is interested in their con. No, I mean, and I've seen this happen to cons. And I'm not going to say which ones, but there are cons, they just die because people lose interest for stuff like this. Stupid politics. It should be about fun. It should be about having a good time and having various fandoms meet and do fun things. The moment it gets territorial, it gets political, and people start to say, oh, well, I'm the one in charge. I'll be the one that tells you which panels go where. No, that's not the way it should work. But unfortunately, it does. Cape's video game caught consulting with Sweet Baby Inc. and bans gamers on Steam who mention it. Well, that doesn't bode well for that game. So good luck to you, Capes. In the ultimate bait and switch, Marvel Comics race swaps Black Cat and Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay, so we got another one of them. Oh, there we go. Black Cat now. No interest in your crazy race swapping or Ultimate Universe, and just make everybody, just do the Black Universe. That's what you want to do, Marvel. Just pull the trigger and say, oh, everybody's black. And just do a whole universe of black Marvel characters. I am the son of Thor. I'm black. Everybody should be black. Just make everyone black. Do that comic. See how well it does for you. Burn it all out. And then maybe you'll come to your senses when finally people go, you know what? I think you've done this too much. If you haven't gotten the message. But my God, this late in the game, can you imagine sitting in the meeting? You're sitting in a meeting with a bunch of editors and maybe some writers. Guys, we need some fresh ideas. Comic book sales are down. I want to hear your best ideas. Sir, how about we, I'm sorry, Zer. How about we, I'm sorry, Miss Zer. What's your pronouns today, ma'am, is what I mean to say. Anyhow, how about we race swap Black Cat? Ooh, we haven't done that yet. Yes, tell me more. Well, that's it. That's the only ideas I have is about race swapping and gender swapping characters. Well, obviously we don't need the gender swap, and she's already a woman. We had a good laugh. But seriously, yeah, Black Cat, I like it. Let's do that. Oh, the fans will go nuts for it. Oh, it'll be crazy. And thus, another idiot is born. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't at the meeting. That's just what I imagine the meeting's like. A bunch of woke idiots sitting around. Actually, it's probably all women. Now that I think about it, it's probably all like, what if we turn the Black Cat into a black woman? Oh, I'm sorry, person of color. Oh, thank you for correcting yourself, Cindy. Oh, no, today I'm not Cindy. I'm Terry. I'm non-binary. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you don't have to apologize. We non-binary people, we go through the struggle. Okay, and then I think it's all agreed. Black Cat will be black from now on. Oh, this'll be wonderful. Let's send out a press release and get milkshakes. And that's my little play about Marvel Comics. This was big news this week. Advertising cartel controlling free speech discontinues activities after X and Rumble lawsuits. This was GARM, GARM, their arm of the WFA, and so that was big news, very big news. So a victory for free speech, even as the UK burns. Yeah, another award ceremony. The Dragon Awards removes conservative artists' work from nomination without rules being violated. So, what's going to happen is other people, mostly conservatives, will just create their own awards show, their own awards, their own publishing. It'll all start over, and all these other ones will collapse and die. Yeah, I know. Joan agrees. Right, Joan? Here, come here, baby. Joan agrees. She knows. She knows the score. You doing okay? I know you need a haircut bad. I got you the appointment, so we'll get you out. We'll get you there. We'll get you all shaved down. Oh, you'll be nice and cool. And then the fall will be here, and then you'll be cold. All right, so I'm going to put you on the floor. Everybody say bye to Joan. All right, moving on to Hollywood Reporter. More on the Tom Cruise skydive. So that obviously went well. I think he's going to be doing this like when he's in his 80s. Be funny. Tom Cruise skydived today on his 85th birthday. When Hollywood first dreamed up a woman president, this must have been some old movie where yeah, there it is. What movie was this? Polly Bergen played a female commander-in-chief struggling with the Soviet relations, a Central American dictator, and her second fiddle husband in Warner Brothers' 1964 comedy Kisses for My President. That sounds awesome. Sounds hilarious. Let's see. Oh, this was news this week. Producer for Todd Hayes' gay romance film addresses Joaquin Phoenix's exit a nightmare. So Joaquin Phoenix committed to do a gay romance movie that I thought I read in the article that it was going to be rated NC-17. But he backed out at the last minute. Gee, I wonder why. If it was going to be rated NC-17, I mean, what the hell was going to happen in that movie? So at the last minute, he pulled out. So now that's not good for your lead to drop out, a few weeks before you're supposed to start shooting. That could kill your whole production. That could kill it. So, let's see. Zelda Williams debunks viral photo of her father, Robin Williams, alleging he owned a pet monkey. Oh, he didn't own a pet monkey. Well, who cares if he did? I mean, he was Robin Williams. That would be pretty hilarious, Robin Williams and a monkey. But, yeah, I don't remember him ever mentioning a monkey. I mean, I followed Robin Williams pretty closely. I used to see him all the time on various talk shows. I'm pretty sure he would have mentioned having a monkey as a pet. I'm pretty sure that would have ended up into some random, train of thought when he was joking around with Letterman or whatever. I'm sure he would have brought him on Letterman. But that would have been hilarious. I could just imagine it. I could also imagine the monkey being really annoyed that Robin Williams is more energetic than him. Like the monkey going, hey, I'm the one who's supposed to jump up and down and act crazy, not you. What else? Animation Guild fires up members at pre-negotiations rally. We're going to win our industry back. Now, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like another strike is looming. That's just what Hollywood needs, another strike to finish it off. Here we go. Percy Jackson teases season 2. I know you're just waiting for this. Reveals new cast for D23. Never seen a Percy Jackson thing. I believe the creator went woke and it like wokeified his own project, if you can imagine that. How how little you must think of your own fans to do that, you know? To just go in and like, oh, you need me to race swap them and gender swap everybody? Hey, no problem. Make sure that check clears. Yeah, that's the way I think of it. 9 Inch Nails to score Disney's Tron Ares. This is the signal, in my view, of a weak movie when you talk about the soundtrack. Now, I like 9 Inch Nails and Trent Reznor, but I don't know, man. Tron's dead to me after the sequel. Whew. It's brutal. It's a brutal sequel. It's unwatchable in many respects. First movie's great. Loved it. Watched it. Played the video game. The sequel, unwatchable in my view. I couldn't tell you one scene in it. It was not very fan service, I'll say that. But 9 Inch Nails, that's not bad. But Jared Leto's in it, and at this point, just let it die. Can you not let anything die, Disney? I guess not. Umbrella Academy cast explains series finale and saying goodbye to final timeline. You know, a season finale of a TV show must be good when they have to explain it in an article in the Hollywood Reporter. And I wonder if they explain why Elliot Page's character suddenly was male, but probably didn't. Over at Bounding into Comics, opinion, Jenna Ortega doesn't oppose political correctness. She opposes being the target. Ooh, interesting. JEC, first Tron movie wasn't Citizen Kane either. That's true, but I liked it. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun movie. JC, sequel had Daft Punk's soundtrack. Okay. I don't know. Didn't really do much for me. But Jenna Ortega doesn't oppose political correctness. She opposes being the target. Possibly, yeah. I mean, she sounds a little bit woke. I don't know. I don't know where she lands. I really don't care. I think she should just be in stuff and make money and entertain people. So, don't know why we have to hear her political opinions at all. But I'm sure she's being hounded for them nonstop. I'll say that in her defense. What else? Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead sent to an early grave as Netflix quietly cancels entire franchise. Good. Another guy, like, how many more chances do you need to give him before you start to go, you know, Zach, maybe you should make smaller movies or ones that make sense? Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy criticizes the current state of Disney Star Wars. There is only so many times a Star Wars movie can revisit the same section of the timeline. It's effed. It's just effed at this point. They've gone back to every important moment in Star Wars and squat on it, basically. Let's just be honest. There's nothing left. Every aspect of this stupid franchise, and it wasn't even, and I'll say this, as much as I like Tron, I know it wasn't that good. Star Wars wasn't that good either. It was fine. I liked it. It is what it is, but it wasn't the most important movie ever made. And, you know, people liked it a little too much, quite frankly, but you could have made good sequels. You didn't. You could have skipped over doing prequels. You didn't. It is what it is. It's over. You know. And now you've got this woman in charge, Kathleen Kennedy, who seems to be determined to make everybody say, yes, Kathleen, feminism is a wonderful thing, and thank God you put it in all your movies. But since no one is willing to say that, not even a little bit, she's determined to burn down everything George Lucas built. So, I think we're just going to have to. I mean, she said in a recent rumor, I don't know if she actually said this, but something like, oh, I wanted to go out on a win. So she just needed one more hit and then she'll retire. I think that's bull. I think that's absolute bull. I think she said that, and then the moment she gets another hit, she'll be in. At this point, I don't think she ever wants to retire, and I don't think they can fire her without a massive lawsuit or paying her out some kind of a crazy amount of money they don't want to pay or have. So I think she'd rather just stay there and burn the whole place down. I think you're going to have, I literally think, and I'm not saying anything bad should happen to her, but I literally think you won't see a good Star Wars movie until Kathleen Kennedy dies. Once she's dead, then they can finally be rid of her presence at Lucasfilms, and then they could start over. I think that's the only way. Because I don't think she'll leave. Now I hear Skeleton Crew is kind of watchable, but who cares? It's on Disney Plus. You know, who's going to see it? People with Disney Plus, I guess. Okay. Enjoy, I guess. Enjoy paying God knows how much money a month just to see a show that has 8 to 10 episodes and then, I don't know, reruns of all the crap they made. Now here's the right response when you have a bad movie. This is Take-Two CEO responds to abysmal reception of Eli Roth's live-action Borderlands. Asks fans to give the film a chance. See, that is a humbling position to take. That would get me to maybe check out Borderlands. Maybe. Because he's not being a jerk. At least I could say, well, you know, maybe they made a terrible movie, but they didn't mean to make a terrible movie. I mean, it looks terrible, but maybe they wanted it to be good. And they tried, and it just didn't work for whatever reason. So saying something like that is way better than saying, oh, well, obviously, if you didn't watch our film, you're a bigot. So I'll give him credit for doing it the right way. I don't think it's really going to help him. The buzz on it is toxic. It is done. What else? Joe Biden on CBS Sunday Morning. Staying in the race would be distraction. Okay. Yeah, we know you're out of the race. What do you keep giving interviews for? Wasn't the whole point to get you to stop doing interviews? You mumbling retard. Avatar at Disneyland. Oh, good. The live action experience of the movie I hate. No thanks. Team USA's men's basketball victory, most watched gold medal game since 1996 Atlantic Olympics. Yeah, it's like watching extra NBA, games. So, all right there, John. You're coughing back there. Brittany Griner has emotional reaction to U.S. national anthem during gold medal ceremony. Okay, I honestly don't know. Brittany Griner's a dude, right? She's like a trans woman, but she was born a dude. Is that reasonable? She's a dude, right? He's a dude. It seems that way, but I'm not sure. They seem to be very cagey about hiding it. They won't call her trans. They won't call her a girl. So, I don't know. Or is she just a really butch, large woman? I don't know. I don't really care, but I'm just sort of curious because I keep seeing her pushed into the news, and it's just like, God, how many times I got to see Brittany Griner walking around? I don't care about her. Rod Stewart cancels 2 more shows because of COVID illness. 79. What is he doing? Just retire already, Stewart. Alex Ogle is here. Hi, Alex. Evening all. Have you dissected Borderlands yet? I confess I had no idea that was even a thing. A little bit. I mean, it did poorly, but the guy who one of the producers said, "Oh, give the film a chance," as opposed to calling everybody a bigot who didn't go see it. But yeah, I don't think it was a good idea. I mean, the video game didn't really lend itself to a plot, and they just don't have the talent anymore. I mean, there's just not a lot of good screenwriters in Hollywood. They refuse to develop any talent. They refuse to pay real money. At the very least, they could get authors. I mean, when they adapt a book, and I have no interest in seeing It Ends With Us, but believe Colleen Hoover worked on the screenplay. That's probably a pretty faithful adaptation of the book. If the author works on the screenplay, it's not that hard to write a screenplay if you're already a writer. You just got to learn the format and take a couple stabs at it. But these big Hollywood movies, you're going to get all the time in the world to write it, so it's not that hard. It's just about formatting. So I don't see any reason Hollywood can't go to some published authors who are real authors with real hits and get them to write the screenplay. I just don't see why not. But they seem to keep going to these DEI hires, which doesn't surprise me because of the way Hollywood treats screenwriters. They treat them as the lowest rung on the production ladder. They really do. People in craft services, and I'm not knocking the people in craft services, they bring you the food, but a lot of people can do that job. I mean, it's just, I could do that job. I can cook food and wrap it in plastic and, bring it to the star or whatever. So I'm not knocking those people. I'm just saying, that's not nearly as important as the screenwriter on a movie. It's important, but it's not nearly as important as the screenwriter. But that's the last thought. That's they literally ask interns in the office to write screenplays. If they hear, "Oh, you write screenplays? Yeah, why don't you take a shot at it?" Because they just don't care. And that's the problem. And they also don't know what's good. So even when they get a good screenplay, nobody reads it. They have their assistants read it. They're not really responding to their bosses in a way that necessarily is the truth. A lot of times they're just responding based on what they think their bosses would like to hear and what what is best for their job. So there's really got to be a shakeup in Hollywood for writers to have a seat at the table. And that table is, on a movie production, it should be the producer is king. He has all the money. But the next two guys should be the director and the screenwriter. And while the director is the driver of the movie, the screenwriter should be the navigator. And the director should get most of the say, but the screenwriter should be able to veto something at a point. When the director goes so far off the rails that he's no longer following the script, that should be a point at which the screenwriter goes, "No, you're adding all these scenes. It's ruining the balance of the film. You have to go back to what's in the screenplay." And then the producer should be the one to make that call. Unfortunately, most producers are going to side with the director because the directors are doing most of the work, but it should be more balanced than that. It shouldn't be a battle, but it often is. And screenwriters should have some amount of veto power on the set. They should be able to come in and say, "No, stop changing the dialogue. You're going to ruin the character. You're going to ruin the scene. We have to follow it because this happens in this scene, and then it builds here, and then it builds here, and then we're out." A lot of directors will lose touch with that sort of buildup in the screenplay, which is why you get very uneven movies that kind of go nowhere. That's my opinion, but I have seen it. I've seen guys get in over their head as the director, and then they just start shooting in desperation cool scenes that seem cool in the moment. They have an actor improv and they go, "Wow, that's great. Yeah, more of that." And it has nothing to do with the screenplay. So, trying to think of a good example. Well, I can't really tell this story, so I'll tell you a story. I knew of a movie where they were shooting a scene and it's about two people who get killed. Essentially, is the whole scene. The whole point of the scene is that the killer kills two people in a house. That's it. So it wasn't a big scene. It was just supposed to set up the sort of evil that was in the house that later comes back. The director thought otherwise, and he made it a much bigger scene, which threw off the timing of the whole movie, because when you have an opening scene and it's short and then you segue into the credits and then it moves on, then you know, okay, so that was a bit of a setup. That wasn't those weren't the main characters. But when the scene drags on and on and on, you go, oh, these must be the main characters, right? You know, even if they're killed, it was a supernatural movie, so they could have come back to life or whatever. But yeah, he made it too long. Long story short. And the screenwriter was powerless to stop it. So, what are you going to do? Directors should listen to their screenwriters. And there should be a producer who's the boss that says, listen to your screenwriter. Now, that doesn't mean completely let the screenwriter make all the calls. Sometimes you veto the screenwriter. Sometimes the screenwriter's the one that's getting indulgent and stupid. There's got to be a balance there. It has to be. But, you know, I worked with some good guys who, you know, they were very respectful of the screenplay, and when they came to me with changes, they said, this is why we want the changes. What do you think? And we would talk about it. And sometimes they would convince me, but other times I would say, no, this was why I had this scene, and we need this for this character, and we need to build this here, and we have to have that scene. And sometimes they would go, oh, okay, yeah, now I understand. Now I get your perspective. Sometimes that's all it takes, is a little communication. Unfortunately, in these big movies, you know, LA, they just love to waste time on meeting after meeting after meeting. And that sounds good on its surface when I'm talking about communications. But when you have 15, 20 meetings about the same thing over and over again, nothing gets said in the meeting that's relevant. You end up eating lunch and talking about everything else except the actual thing. Then it becomes like, God, I don't want to go to another effing meeting. Yeah, I like free sushi or whatever, but Jesus, can we just get this movie going? And some people, unfortunately, in the movie industry just don't care about the movie. They care about getting that free sushi. I Heart Horror is here. Meetings are fun, free lunch. Sometimes I do enjoy a free lunch. But as they say, the reality is there is no free lunch. And in Hollywood, those lunches can be murder. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm very tired. Yeah, here it is, the Skeleton Crew. The teaser looks okay-ish. I don't know. Some people have seen it, say it's decent looking, and more like what Lucas would make. I'm not interested. You know, again, it's part of a franchise that has been so thoroughly damaged. I don't see how you fix it in one section and then ignore all the other scenes, because it's about a power trip, and Kathleen Kennedy is in charge. So she could roll in and ruin this show too, even though it may start well. She may have already ruined it. They haven't seen every single episode. Maybe by the time this thing's over, he's a trans Jedi or whatever. We'll see. Warner Brothers Discovery latest casualty, the Cartoon Network. Yeah, the Cartoon Network website shut down. I like that website. I used to go there all the time, watch shows. You can watch Rick and Morty sometimes on there. Back when Rick and Morty was run by Justin Roiland. Not anymore. British icon Jennifer Saunders joins star-studded cast of The Magic Faraway Tree. I don't know what that is, but I do know Jennifer Saunders. I know her work. She was in Absolutely Fabulous, which is a pretty funny show. And she was in a sketch show. Pretty good. So she's kind of funny. So maybe that'll be good. I don't know what the Faraway Magic Tree is. The Magic Faraway Tree. I don't know. Is that a famous children's book? Oh, here's another thing about Deadpool and Wolverine. She-Hulk star Tatiana Maslany. Apparently, there was rumors that she would be in the movie as She-Hulk, but she got cut because Ryan Reynolds specifically wanted to cover all the characters in the MCU or prior to the Disney MCU that were connected to Fox. So that's what the cameos. He didn't want to include cameos from, a show like She-Hulk. And apparently she got mad about it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what good it is to get mad about it. I mean, you created a terrible, terrible show from what I understand. Every clip I saw was a mess. So, what are you going to do? Alex Ogle. Jennifer Saunders used to be good with Dawn French. Oh, yeah, French and Saunders. That was the show. But then French went excessively woke. Oh. Saunders is married to Adrian Edmondson, who used to be really edgy and funny. Oh, Adrian Edmondson. Him I don't know. But I remember French and Saunders. Or Saunders. Yeah, French and Saunders, I think it was called. I saw some of those episodes. They were pretty good. Yeah, woke is the death of comedy. I mean, if you go woke, you could kiss your comedy goodbye. I mean, Ben Stiller seems to be slow rolling into it. He's kind of been on the precipice for a while now. Now it seems he's right over. I'm predicting he's going to apologize for Tropic Thunder at some point. He hasn't yet, but my prediction is somebody's going to finally push him into apologizing for Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder, or writing the scene or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he can't because Robert Downey Jr. won't apologize for it, but I don't know. All right, these we talked about. Disney laid off a bunch of people from various parts of Disney. Paramount laid people off, and one other studio laid people off. I forget who. From the Wrap. Stuff about A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, new Game of Thrones spinoff. If you care about that. Isaac Hayes' estate. Oh, I thought he was dead. He is dead. Isaac Hayes' estate demands Trump pay $3 million for unlawful use of "Hold On, I'm Coming" at campaign events. I guess. I mean, like, the idea of suing over it seems weird to me because playing the music during a campaign event, it's not like a for-profit business. It is a political thing. Yes, they may be raising money, but that money has certain rules and it goes into the campaign. So I'm not sure how that works. Not sure that makes any sense. Alex, not to be confused with Rick Mayall, playing Alan B. Starred in The New Statesman. Rick Mayall. Is that Rick from The Young Ones? Rick? Is that who I'm thinking of? That's his last name, Mayall? He's dead, right? I think he died. Yeah, so nothing new here. Over at Cosmic Book News, Marvel trailers leak. Fantastic Four, Captain America, Daredevil, and Ironheart, and this is the Red Hulk, which is what's the name? Harrison Ford. It's very strange to me he would want to do this. Here's more on the Disney Snow White thing. Ooh, a new trailer for Agatha. I know you're excited about that because the show that was so good it had to be renamed 6 times is finally coming out. I don't know who's going to watch this. You want to talk, and it's a shame because Catherine Hahn, who's the lead, is pretty funny. It's just like sad. Rick played Rick in The Young Ones, and Edinson was Vivian Bastard. Oh, okay. See my comment above. Right. Okay, Alex. I love Vivian Bastard. Right. Oh, okay. Yes, he was very edgy and funny. Alex Ogle. Rick played Richard in Bottom to Edmondson's Edward Elizabeth. I don't know if I could say the last name, but it's the bad guy from Germany. Um, I'm on a YouTube live stream. I don't know what the rules are anymore. Can't do anything anymore. Okay. More Fantastic Four stuff if you're interested in that. I don't know. A lot of the stuff doesn't look great. Robert Downey Jr. was supposed to be in Deadpool, but he turned it down, or they didn't want to do it. Whatever. I mean, it was fine the way it rolled out. The scene that was supposed to happen would have been the Happy Hogan scene where Deadpool is applying for, he wants to be an Avenger, and Happy Hogan turns him down, and then Tony was going to be in that scene too with him before he died. So, I mean, I guess it could have been fun, but didn't really need to be there. Would have been a lot of to do for nothing, I think. All right. I think we're just about out of gas here. And, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap early, only because, as I said at the beginning of the stream, I got no sleep last night, and I'm really dragging bad. So, let's wrap up with some final thoughts. If you guys got some final thoughts on anything, sorry to go short, although this is the time length I used to do before I started rolling into 3.5 hour live streams. Maybe when I'm not tired, I'll do an extra one sometime. Not this week though. Man, I gotta finish book 16 of the Pineys. I'm really behind. I gotta get it out before. Oh gosh, I want to get it out before the 15th. So what did we learn today? Well, we learned the box office have been saved by Ryan Reynolds and his lovely wife Blake Lively. They are single-handedly taking over Hollywood and saving it. We have learned there are some free movies you should see, like My Friend Dahmer, which is on YouTube for free. And then there is another movie, and I've already forgotten it, but it was in the chat. What the hell was it now? Oh gosh, I don't even remember. I'll have to go back in the chat. Ah, damn it, I forget. Holly M says, have a good night. Oh, Holly, nice to see you. Have a good night. We also learned, again, that I got no sleep, thanks to dogs. And next up for me will be what is it called? Mystic something. God, I can't remember anything, can't think. Mystic Meadows Rehab and Nursing Center tomorrow in Egg Harbor Township at 2 p.m. for my How to Hunt the Jersey Devil talk. Then on Friday, I'll be at the Bayshore Center at Bivalve. This is in Port Norris, New Jersey at 6:30 p.m. for my hunt on How to Hunt the Jersey Devil. If you're in South Jersey and you ever want to come to see me, this is the one you should come. Because the Bayshore Center at Bivalve is a museum. It's a maritime museum, but it's also in the middle of Port Norris and Bivalve, which is a place where they do clamming and oystering. Is that what they call it? Where they hunt oysters or collect oysters. I guess you don't really hunt an oyster. And because of that, the museum has its own oyster bar, and it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, if you like oysters, you may not like oysters. Indie Fandom is here. What is happening, y'all? Missed things. Been out all day, but we'll catch up and replay. Oh, sorry I missed you. Completely fried. a bit fuzzy. But yeah, gotta wrap up. Gotta wrap up. So that's it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank all who came out to see me at Nerdfest in Swedesboro, New Jersey. Fun show today. Hanging out with the artist. I got some leads on some other shows that I got to follow up on tomorrow. Oh, I got to do so many things. So many things, and I have had no sleep. No sleep. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.